Looking back, the worst morning of my life didn't start with a scream or a crash. It started with a phone call at 6:47 a.m. on a Thursday in October while I was standing in my kitchen in Nashville, watching rain slide down the window above the sink. The caller ID said, First Consolidated Bank. I almost didn't answer. I wish I hadn't. But that phone call is the reason I'm standing here today, in a life I actually recognize as mine, instead of rotting in a cell for something I never did. My name is Michael Brennan. People call me Mike. I'm 55 years old, and for 28 years I taught American history at Ridgemont High School on the east side of Nashville, Tennessee. Loved every minute of it. The kids, the lesson plans, even the bad coffee in the teacher's lounge. I retired 3 years early when my doctor found a problem with my heart. Nothing fatal, but enough to slow me down, enough to make me think about what mattered. I left teaching with a state pension, a modest savings account, and a little brick house on Cedarwood Lane that I'd bought with my ex-wife 15 years ago. She got it in the divorce. I got the pension and my sanity. Or so I thought. My ex-wife's name is Lisa. We were married for 22 years. Had a daughter together, Sophie, who turned 28 last spring. She teaches second grade at a school across town. When people ask me why my marriage ended, I keep it simple. Lisa found someone who excited her more than I did. His name was Craig Dutton. He sold commercial real estate and wore suits that cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. I found out about him the way most people find out. A text message she forgot to delete. 3 months later, we were sitting in a mediator's office, dividing up 22 years of shared life into 2 separate columns. The divorce was final on a Wednesday in March, 3 years ago. Lisa got the house and $38,000 from the equity. I kept my pension and my truck, a 2014 Chevy Silverado my father and I picked out together the year before he passed. We shook hands in the parking lot of the mediator's office, and Lisa said something I'll never forget. She said, "No hard feelings, Mike. We just grew apart." I believed her. That was my first mistake. So there I was, 3 years later, standing in the kitchen of my rental duplex on Maplewood Drive, rain coming down outside, phone ringing. I picked up. "Mr. Brennan, this is Karen Weiss from First Consolidated Bank. I'm calling about your business account. The one tied to Brennan Property Solutions, LLC. I set my coffee down. I don't have a business account. I don't have an LLC. Silence on her end. Then, carefully. "Sir, according to our records, Brennan Property Solutions was registered 8 months ago with your social security number, your date of birth, and your home address. There are currently 3 outstanding commercial loans totaling $62,000. The account is 4 months past due." My hand went numb. I switched the phone to my other ear. "That's not possible. I'm retired. I used to teach history. I've never owned a business in my life. Mr. Brennan, I'd strongly suggest you come into our downtown branch today. There are documents you need to see." I drove through the rain with my windshield wipers beating fast and my chest beating faster. By 9 a.m., I was sitting across from Karen Weiss in a small glass office on the 2nd floor of First Consolidated's Broadway branch. She slid a folder across the desk. Inside was an LLC registration filed with the Tennessee Secretary of State, Brennan Property Solutions. My name, my social security number, my old address on Cedarwood Lane. The one Lisa kept. The signature on the registration was close to mine. Close enough to fool a clerk. But the way the B in Brennan curved at the top, that wasn't how I wrote it. I'd never made that loop. "That's not my signature," I said. "There's more." Karen pulled out loan applications. 3 of them. $18,000, $22,000, $22,000. Each one submitted over the past 8 months. Each one approved based on the LLC and a set of financial documents I'd never seen before, fake tax returns showing business income I never earned. "Where did the money go?" I asked. She turned to a page of account statements. Transfers to a personal account at a different bank. Wire transfers to a real estate investment fund, cash withdrawals, payments to contractors. I stared at the numbers until they blurred. I knew who did this. The same way you know it's going to rain when the sky turns that particular shade of gray. You don't need a weatherman. You just know. Lisa. After 22 years of marriage, she knew everything. My social security number, my mother's maiden name, my date of birth, every security question I'd ever set up. She didn't need to trick me into giving her information. She'd had 2 decades to memorize it. I drove home in a fog, pulled into my driveway, and just sat there with the engine running, watching the rain hit the windshield. That's when I saw Ray Ochoa walking across his yard toward my truck, holding an umbrella big enough for 2 people. Ray was my neighbor, 3 doors down. 61 years old, retired forensic accountant who'd spent 25 years at a Nashville firm untangling financial fraud for the FBI and the IRS. He was short, stocky, wore reading glasses on a chain around his neck, and had a habit of noticing things other people missed. He'd helped me set up my budget after the divorce, showed me how to make my pension stretch. He was the kind of man who read bank statements the way most people read novels. "You look like you've been hit by something," Ray said when I rolled down the window. "I have," I said. And I told him everything. Ray didn't react the way most people would. He didn't gasp or shake his head. He got very still and very quiet, the way he probably got when he found the first thread in a fraud case. Then he said, "Come inside. Show me the documents." We spent 3 hours at my kitchen table. Ray went through every page Karen Weiss had given me. He made notes on a yellow legal pad, drew arrows between numbers, circled dates. "Whoever set this up knew what they were doing," Ray said. "Not a professional, but someone who understood the basics." The LLC was registered through an online service, minimal verification required. The loan applications used your real employment history but inflated the numbers. "And look at this." He pointed to the account statements. "The money flows out of the business account into a personal account, then into an investment fund called Magnolia Capital Partners. You know what that is?" "No." Ray pulled out his phone, searched for a few minutes. "Magnolia Capital Partners. Registered 6 months ago. Managing partner is a Craig Dutton." The name hit me like cold water. Craig Dutton, Lisa's boyfriend. The real estate guy she'd left me for. "Son of a bitch," I said. "It gets better," Ray said, "and by better I mean worse. Magnolia Capital has purchased 2 properties in the past 4 months. A rental house in East Nashville and a lake cabin near Center Hill. Combined value around $290,000. Where do you think the down payments came from?" "My stolen money." "Your stolen identity," Ray corrected. "There's a difference, and the difference matters legally. This isn't just theft. This is wire fraud, bank fraud, identity theft, and potentially money laundering, federal charges." My phone buzzed. Sophie, my daughter, finally returning the call I'd left her an hour ago. "Hey, Dad," she said. Her voice was light. She didn't know yet. "What's going on? You sounded weird in your voicemail." "Soph, something happened. I need to tell you about it." I explained as calmly as I could. The LLC, the loans, the $62,000. The silence on her end grew heavier with every sentence. "Dad," she finally said, "that's insane. Have you called the police?" "Not yet. I just found out this morning." Okay. She was processing. I could hear her teacher voice kicking in, the one she used when a kid fell on the playground and she needed to be calm. "We need to file a police report. Today, and you need to freeze your credit immediately." She was right. Ray was already nodding. I called the Nashville police non-emergency line and filed a report. Then Ray walked me through freezing my credit with all 3 bureaus. It took 2 hours and 4 phone calls, but by evening, no one could open new accounts in my name. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed listening to the rain, doing math in my head. $62,000 in fraudulent loans. My name on an LLC I never created, my credit destroyed. And somewhere across town, Lisa was sleeping soundly in the house I'd helped pay for, next to the man who was laundering my stolen identity through a fake investment fund. The detective assigned to my case was named Victor Garza. Mid-40s, trim build, the kind of face that gave nothing away. He called me in 3 days after I filed the report. "Mr. Brennan, have a seat." His desk was covered in folders. One of them had my name on it. "I've reviewed the bank documents you provided," Garza said. "And I've pulled the LLC registration. I have some questions." "Sure." He opened a folder. "This LLC was registered to your home address on Cedarwood Lane. You lived there for 15 years. Is that correct?" "I lived there until the divorce. My ex-wife kept the house. But you didn't update your address with the Secretary of State? I didn't register the LLC in the first place. Garza made a note. The loans were approved based on financial documents that reference your teaching career, your pension, your employment dates. All accurate information. How would someone other than you have access to those details? My ex-wife and I were married for 22 years, I said. She knows everything about me. She didn't need to hack anything. She lived with me. Garza leaned back. Mr. Brennan, I have to ask. Is there any chance you and your ex-wife set this up together? Maybe things went south and now you're trying to distance yourself? I felt the heat rise in my neck. No, absolutely not. I found out about this 3 days ago from a bank phone call. He studied me for a long moment. Don't leave Nashville. We'll be in touch. Walking out of the station, I felt exactly what the video described. Like everyone was watching me. Like I'd already been convicted. That evening, Ray came over with takeout and a folder of his own research. I've been digging into Magnolia Capital, he said, spreading printouts across my table. Craig Dutton registered it as a real estate investment fund, but it's really just a shell. Money goes in, gets used to buy property, and the properties are held in the fund's name. Not Craig's, not Lisa's. The fund's. So they can hide behind it, I said. Exactly. But here's where they got sloppy. Ray pulled out a property record. The lake cabin near Center Hill. Listed buyer is Magnolia Capital Partners. But the insurance policy? He slid another page across. Listed under Lisa Brennan. She used her married name. Didn't even bother to use Dutton's. She kept my last name? On this document. Yes. And the insurance application used your social security number for a credit check. That's another count of identity theft right there. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Brennan, my name is James Purcell. I'm a reporter with the Nashville scene. I'm working on a story about a series of fraudulent LLCs registered in Davidson County. Your name came up. Would you like to comment? My stomach dropped. A reporter. This was about to become public. No comment, I said. I understand. But I should let you know, your ex-wife Lisa Brennan filed a restraining order against you this morning. She's claiming harassment and threats. Are you aware of that? I sat down. What? Filed at 8 a.m., Davidson County Court. Claims you've been calling her, showing up at her house, threatening her over money. The order was granted on a temporary basis pending a hearing. I haven't spoken to Lisa in 3 years, I said. Not once. Not a phone call, not a text, not even an email. That's not what the filing says. She attached phone records showing calls from your number. Those records are fake. Someone spoofed my number. The reporter paused. Mr. Brennan, the story runs tomorrow. If you want to make a statement, now's the time. My statement is that I'm the victim of identity theft by my ex-wife. She created a fake company in my name, took out $62,000 in loans, and now she's trying to silence me with a restraining order because she knows I'm onto her. I'll include that, Purcell said. And hung up. I called Sophie immediately. She answered on the second ring. Dad, I know, she said. Her voice was tight. Mom called me an hour ago. She was crying. She said you've been threatening her, that you showed up at her house, that you're obsessed with ruining her life. None of that is true, I said. She was really upset, Dad. Really crying. Your mother can cry on command, Sophie. You know that. Remember the time she cried to get out of a speeding ticket? The time she cried at the parent-teacher conference when Mrs. Harding said you needed extra help in math? She cried at the divorce mediator too. Tears are her favorite tool. Silence. I can't do this, Sophie said. I can't be in the middle. Please don't ask me to choose sides. I'm not asking you to choose sides. I'm asking you to look at the evidence. I have to go, Dad. I have papers to grade. She hung up. I set the phone down on the counter and stared at it. 3 years of silence from Lisa, and the moment I start uncovering what she's done, she activates our daughter like a weapon, turns Sophie into a shield. Ray was watching me from across the table. He'd heard the whole conversation. Give her time, he said. Sophie's smart. She'll figure it out. What if she doesn't? She will. Because the evidence is on your side, and evidence doesn't lie. People do. The next week was the worst of my life. The newspaper story ran. My name in print, connected to fraud. 3 neighbors stopped talking to me. The property management company for my rental called because someone had filed a change of address on my account, rerouting my mail to an address I didn't recognize. When I checked, it was a P.O. box registered in my name. Another forgery. Then the pension letter arrived. Certified mail, Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. Due to an active fraud investigation involving your financial accounts, your monthly pension benefit of $1,800 is temporarily suspended pending resolution. I read it twice, then a third time. Then I sat down on my kitchen floor and tried to breathe. $1,800 a month was everything. Rent, utilities, food, heart medication. Without it, I had maybe $900 in checking and nothing else. 3 weeks before I'd be choosing between food and a roof. I called the pension office. Got transferred 4 times. The final person was sympathetic but firm. It's policy, Mr. Brennan. When there's an active investigation involving potential fraud, we suspend disbursements to protect the fund. I'm sure it'll be resolved quickly. How quickly? Could be weeks. Could be a few months. Months. I didn't have months. That afternoon, another call. This one from a title loan company I'd never heard of. Mr. Brennan, you're 60 days past due on your vehicle title loan. $9,500 against your 2014 Chevrolet Silverado. If we don't receive payment within 7 days, we'll begin repossession proceedings. I don't have a title loan, I said. My truck is paid off. Has been for years. Sir, we have your signature on the application and the title. Check that signature against my driver's license. It won't match. I'll make a note, but the loan remains in default. 7 days, Mr. Brennan. My truck. The last thing my father and I did together before his cancer took him. We drove to that dealership on a Saturday morning, spent 3 hours negotiating, shook hands with the salesman, and then went for barbecue to celebrate. I could still see him sitting in the passenger seat on the drive home, grinning like a kid, saying, "She rides smooth, doesn't she, Mike?" And now Lisa was taking that too. Ray found me sitting on my front steps that evening, staring at the Silverado in the driveway. "Talk to me," he said, sitting down next to me. I told him about the pension, the truck, the P.O. box. "She's trying to dismantle your life piece by piece," Ray said. "Cut off your income, take your transportation, isolate you from your daughter, destroy your reputation. It's systematic. It's working." "No, it's not. Because I found something today that changes everything." He pulled out his phone. I traced the money from Magnolia Capital. The 2 properties they bought, the rental house in East Nashville and the lake cabin, both were purchased from the same seller, a company called Greenfield Holdings. You know who owns Greenfield Holdings? I shook my head. Nobody. It doesn't exist. It's a shell company registered to another P.O. box. Craig and Lisa are buying properties from themselves through fake companies, cycling your stolen loan money through layers of paperwork to make it look legitimate. Classic money laundering. Can you prove it? I already have. Ray held up a USB drive. Transaction records, property filings, LLC registrations, insurance documents. All connected. All traceable. I spent 25 years doing this for the FBI, Mike. This is what I'm good at. For the first time in weeks, something shifted in my chest. Not hope exactly, but the feeling that comes right before hope when the darkness starts to thin. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "You should have stayed quiet, Mike. Now you're going to lose everything." I showed Ray. He took a screenshot. "Save every one of these," he said. "She's getting careless. Angry people always do." I typed back, "I never did anything to you, Lisa. You left me, remember?" The response came fast. "You wasted my best years. 22 years of my life thrown away on a man with no ambition. Craig gives me the life I deserved all along. You owe me this." "I owe you nothing," I wrote. "You owe me everything. And I'm collecting." Ray read over my shoulder. "That's not someone who's afraid of her ex-husband. That's someone who thinks she's entitled to destroy him. Save it. All of it. And Mike? Don't respond anymore. Let her keep talking. People who feel justified don't know when to stop." Another text. "You can't prove anything. It's your word against mine. And nobody believes the bitter ex-husband." Screenshot. Save. Evidence folder getting thicker by the day. The call came at 1:30 the morning. I was awake, lying in the dark, staring at the ceiling, calculating how many days I had left before the money ran out. Dad. Sophie's voice. But wrong. Shaking. Scared. What's wrong? I sat up in bed, heart pounding. I went to Mom's house tonight. After school, I wanted to return some books she'd lent me. The garage door was open, so I walked in through the kitchen. And, Dad, your mail is everywhere. Stacks of it. On the kitchen counter, in a drawer, stuffed in a box under the sink. Bank statements, credit card offers, pension notices, tax documents. All addressed to you. All opened. Some of them going back over a year. My legs felt weak even though I was sitting down. I started taking pictures, Sophie continued. Everything I could. Then she caught me. She came downstairs and saw me with my phone out and she lost it. Started screaming that I was betraying her, that you'd brainwashed me, that I was choosing you over her. What else did she say? Sophie's voice dropped. She said she deserved everything she took from you, that you owed her for stealing her youth. She said she'd been planning this since before the divorce was final, that Craig helped her set up the companies, that by the time anyone figured it out, they'd have enough money to disappear. Disappear where? She didn't say. But Dad, there were travel brochures on her nightstand. Panama. I saw them when I went to get my jacket from the bedroom. Did she see you take pictures? I don't think so. I sent them to my email, to the cloud, and to Ray's wife's email just in case. 3 copies in 3 places. She can't delete them. Smart girl, I whispered. Then, louder. Sophie, I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't be sorry. I'm sorry. Her voice broke. I should have believed you from the beginning. She was my mom and I wanted to believe she wouldn't. But she did. And I let her convince me you were the problem. It's not your fault. Yes, it is. I chose her over you. I let her use me as a weapon against my own father. Do you know what that feels like? I know exactly what it feels like. I'm just glad you're back. I'm back, she said. And I'm not going anywhere. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Lisa. I put it on speaker. You turned my daughter against me. Lisa's voice was low and venomous. After everything I've done for that girl, you poisoned her mind. I will make you pay for this, Mike. You've already taken everything I have, I said calmly. Sophie spoke up. Mom, I saw the mail. I saw Dad's bank statements in your kitchen. I heard what you said tonight. And I recorded it. Dead silence. Then Lisa's voice, colder than I'd ever heard it. You're both pathetic. You deserve each other. She hung up. Sophie and I sat on the phone for a while longer, listening to each other breathe. Then she said, what do we do now? We take everything to Detective Garza. And we call Ray. Your mother just made her biggest mistake. The next morning, Ray, Sophie, and I walked into the sheriff's office together. Detective Garza's expression changed the moment he saw the 3 of us. He'd been expecting me alone, defensive, scrambling. Instead, I had a forensic accountant and a daughter with photographic evidence. Sophie went first. She laid out the printed photos of my stolen mail in Lisa's kitchen. Bank statements, pension notices, credit card applications. All addressed to me. All opened. Then she played the recording. Lisa's voice, clear and furious. You owed me for stealing my youth. Craig helped me set it up. By the time anyone figures it out, we'll have enough to disappear. Garza's jaw tightened. Ray went next. He walked Garza through the financial trail. The shell companies, the money laundering, the fake property transactions, the insurance policy with my social security number. He laid it out the way he used to lay it out for federal prosecutors. Clean, logical, irrefutable. There's approximately $62,000 in fraudulent loans, Ray said. Plus the identity theft, the mail theft, which is a federal offense, the forged documents, and the money laundering through 2 shell companies used to purchase over $290,000 in real estate. This isn't a domestic dispute. This is organized financial fraud. Garza studied the documents for a long time. Then he looked at me. Mr. Brennan, I owe you an apology. When this case first came to me, I thought there was a possibility you were involved. I've seen too many cases where former spouses collaborate and then turn on each other. You thought I was guilty, I said. I considered the possibility. I was wrong. He stood up. I'm bringing your ex-wife in today. And Craig Dutton. Based on what I'm seeing here, we're looking at identity theft, bank fraud, wire fraud, mail theft, and money laundering. I'm also contacting the FBI and the Postal Inspection Service. The mail theft and wire fraud make this federal. What about my pension? I asked. And my truck loan? I'll contact the pension board today with my findings. You should have your benefits reinstated within the week. As for the truck, file an identity theft report using this case number. He wrote it on a card. The title company should release the lien once they see the criminal investigation. Walking out of the station into the October sunlight, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Air in my lungs. Space in my chest. Sophie linked her arm through mine. We did it, Dad. Not yet, I said. But we will. Ray took us to a diner on Gallatin Road. Over eggs and coffee, we talked about what came next. Lisa's going to know we went to the police, Sophie said. She's going to panic. Good, Ray said. Panic leads to mistakes. And based on those Panama brochures, she may try to run. Garza knows that. He'll move fast. My phone buzzed. Text from Lisa's number. You're going to regret this. All three of you. I showed it to Ray and Sophie. Save it, Ray said. Add it to the pile. Another text. Craig has real lawyers. You have nothing. She's scared. Sophie said quietly. She wouldn't be threatening us if she wasn't. A third text, this one to Sophie. Sweetheart, your father is manipulating you. He's sick. He always has been. Please come home. Let's talk. Sophie typed back. I saw the evidence with my own eyes, Mom. The stolen mail. The fake companies. I heard you confess. Stop pretending you're the victim. No response. Craig Dutton was arrested 2 days later. The FBI moved faster than any of us expected. Wire fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy, money laundering. They seized both properties, froze Magnolia Capital's accounts, and found records on Craig's computer that detailed every step of the scheme. Emails between him and Lisa planning each loan application, spreadsheets tracking the stolen money, even a draft business plan for a real estate venture in Panama City, funded entirely by my destroyed identity. Craig folded within 24 hours. Offered to testify against Lisa in exchange for a reduced sentence. He told investigators she'd masterminded the entire operation, that she'd approached him 6 months before the divorce was even final with the plan already formed. That she'd used her position as a former spouse to access every piece of my personal information. That the restraining order, the spoofed phone calls, the smear campaign, all of it was designed to keep me off balance and discredited while they funneled money into their escape plan. Detective Garza called me that evening. We picked up Lisa this afternoon. She was at the airport. One-way ticket to Panama. Packed bags in the trunk. She was running, I said. Trying to. She didn't make it past the TSA checkpoint. The FBI had flagged her passport. She's looking at 15 to 20 years, Mike. Identity theft, bank fraud, wire fraud, mail theft, money laundering, conspiracy, and we found 4 other victims. Fool. Lisa volunteered at a community arts nonprofit in East Nashville. She had access to donor records, personal information for elderly patrons who'd given their details for tax receipts. She opened credit lines in their names too. 2 widows in their 70s and an 82-year-old retired professor. She stole over $30,000 from people who thought she was helping them hang paintings. My stomach turned. I'd been married to this woman for 22 years. Raised a child with her. Slept next to her. And I never saw it. Or maybe I did. Maybe I saw the small lies, the casual manipulations, the tears that appeared and disappeared on command. Maybe I just told myself everyone had flaws and love meant looking the other way. The trial took 3 weeks. Lisa pleaded not guilty. Her lawyer argued mental distress from the divorce, emotional instability, diminished capacity. The jury heard testimony from the elderly victims. An 82-year-old retired literature professor named Harold Oates took the stand and described how Lisa had visited him weekly, brought him cookies, helped him organize his studio. And the whole time, she was copying down his social security number, his bank routing numbers, his personal information from documents he'd left on his desk because he trusted her. The jury deliberated for 5 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Lisa to 16 years. Craig Dutton got 4 years for his role. I sat in the courtroom and watched them lead Lisa away. She looked at me once, and what I saw in her eyes wasn't remorse. It was fury. Pure, undiluted rage that she'd been caught, that her plan had failed, that the man she'd dismissed as weak and ambitionless had been the one to bring her down. I felt nothing. Not triumph. Not sadness. Just the quiet relief of a storm finally passing. 6 months later, I was standing in my new apartment. Not a rental this time. A 2-bedroom condo I'd bought with money from a settlement against the banks and the title company that had failed to catch Lisa's fraud. Nothing fancy. But mine. Truly mine. My own parking spot. A small balcony that looked out over a row of old magnolia trees. Ray helped me move in. Same as he'd helped me through the darkest weeks. We carried boxes up the stairs and he made the same joke 3 times about his bad knee. And I laughed every time because that's what you do with a friend who saved your life. Sophie came over that first evening with lasagna and a bottle of wine. She set the table while I stood on the balcony watching the sun go down over Nashville. "Dad," she said, joining me outside. "I need to ask you something." "Go ahead." "How did you stay married to her for 22 years and not see it?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I saw pieces," I said. "The lying. The way she could turn on the tears. The way she made everything about her needs. But I told myself that's just how people are. That marriage means accepting someone's flaws. And honestly, I was afraid to admit I'd made a mistake. Afraid to admit I'd spent half my life with someone who didn't actually love me." "She did love you," Sophie said. "In her own messed up way." "No," I said. "Love doesn't steal. Love doesn't forge your name on documents and try to put you in prison. What Lisa felt for me was ownership. And I'm glad it's over." Sophie raised her glass. "To the truth. To surviving," I said. "And to the people who help you survive." We touched glasses and drank. Below us, the magnolia trees swayed in the evening breeze. Somewhere across the city, kids were doing homework, and couples were making dinner, and people were living their ordinary, beautiful lives without knowing how fragile it all was. How quickly someone you trusted could try to take it away. And how, sometimes, the people who saved you weren't the ones you expected. They were the neighbor with the reading glasses and the yellow legal pad. The daughter who broke into her mother's kitchen and chose the truth over comfort. The detective who admitted he was wrong. I spent 22 years with a woman who saw me as a resource to be exploited. Now I had a daughter who loved me, a friend who'd fought for me when nobody else would, and a quiet little life that was finally, completely mine. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It was better.